Good morning.
Morning, Tammy. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Louis.
Morning, Brett. How you feeling, brother?
I feel like I'm $1,000,000.
That's great to hear.
There's Belinda. There's Belinda. How you doing, Belinda?
Yeah, we're packing in.
World famous face, Belinda Robertson right here. I don't know Sophie Ramirez. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
How are you?
That I'm adjusting the wrong camera. No wonder why you can't see me.
Louis, did you get my my text last night about
I did. I forwarded to myself to my email so I can review it today. So I'll get back to you with an answer, okay?
John? My teammate John is on today. If I could introduce him at some point, whenever you think it's the best.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, as soon as we get it started. So let's give us about 2 more minutes, let everybody else pile in, and we'll get started with today's.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna step away for a minute, guys. Give me a sec.
I'm trying to get video.
Yeah, down in the lower left-hand corner, John.
I see it. Yeah. Oh, okay, good.
There you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Handsome mug you got, buddy. Man, if I looked like you, I'd be icon by now.
Well, my son is more handsome than I am.
Oh, wow. Well, he looks like you. So
He gets all the credit.
There you go. Christopher Leva, are you related to Louis? You're muted, Chris.
No, I'm not. Good morning, everyone.
Wish you were though, right? You wish you were the uncle or the nephew.
It's funny because we've been in the business about the same amount of time, 20 years. And
Yeah.
anytime I'd have to look up my license information, I'd always see a Louis Leva. And I reached out to him, I don't know, 18, 19 years ago. And I asked if there was like a connection with where his parents were from. And anyway, we're not. Just
You're
the
not.
same last name.
Now, where is home base for you, Chris?
So I'm the first generation born in this country. Well, my mother and my father migrated here from Chile, South America.
Oh yeah, I went to Ecuador 3 years ago and loved it. And I know that's not Chile, but it's at least on the same continent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love the Andes Mountains. Oh my goodness, they were unbelievable.
We're a sight to see.
Oh, unbelievable. But now, where's home base now? Where do you do your work? Where's your office?
I'm from Morris County, Morris and Sussex County. So I've been in Randolph for I don't know about 16 years.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
from Dover, I graduated high school in high school.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, John is beside you in my gallery. I don't know where he is on yours, but John Karanja is just joined my team, and
Okay.
he's up in Jersey too. So I'm down in Florida. So I'm sure you guys are going to watch out good for him.
Nice, of course.
Okay, guys, I think we can get started. I think we have a lot of people on here. So yeah, I'll let you start. Brent, you want to introduce John to the crew?
I want to introduce to you my friend of about 25 years, 24 years, I think to be exact, John Karanja. I traveled with him to his home country of Kenya, but he's lived here for, oh goodness, 24 or 25 years now, John, right?
Yeah, 25. Yeah.
And he's one of the most ambitious young men I've ever met. I had the privilege of being his pastor, but the honor of being his friend for a long time. And he's a tremendous husband, dad, and businessman. So John and I are working on some projects that are actually international already, and the guy doesn't even have a business card with EXP. So he's a mover and a shaker. So John, so welcome to our team, and just wanted to give you a chance. Would you like to give your own bio just in 30 seconds or 60 seconds?
Yes, well, thank you so much for welcoming me into your team. As Brent said, I've known him for 23 years, served in the ministry together for all those years. But joining EXP, I look forward to, working with all of you. I bring extensive experience in the area of have my own company, so I do a lot of landscaping, large commercial landscaping, property maintenance, and other services that that could use a hand in hand. So that's my side job. Right now, my ministry is directed to hospice patients. So they call me jack of all trades, but master of none. So I just hope that things will go well for me to grow and learn more about EXP. What to it? I think I like their concept, very progressive, and I've already built rapport with a few people here and there, and I just hope that we can grow this team.
Great, welcome, John.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Is there anyone else on the call that's new? I don't know if anyone invited someone to the call, or if someone came on their own through one of our hosts.
What's up, guys? I'm new. It's my first time on.
Hey, Dustin.
Welcome, Dustin.
Yes, sir. I just happened to see your the link on Meetup.
Oh, nice. Thank you for
and
joining
I'm
us.
coming in. Yeah, no problem. I'm coming in, just got done with my test, or just got done with my final test, finished my courses. So going to be a new real estate agent here in the next month. Just looking to get as much information in as possible.
Absolutely. What do you do now?
Right now, I'm a food runner / server.
Okay.
But I've always been business orientated. I always had a small business on the side. So I'm looking to take my skills to the next level.
What area do you live in?
Florida.
You're in Florida? Okay. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, West Palm Beach area.
Oh, good for you, brother. That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on the call today. We're going to cover some good stuff. Is there anyone else that would like to introduce, or anyone new on the call? Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, let's just give Trina a second to jump in, and we'll get started. She's jumping and she's joining us right now. All right, so how was everyone's weekend? Did you guys sell any properties this weekend? Did you guys get any listings? Any good news? Anything you guys would want to share with us?
I got poached.
Yeah,
So-
poached.
Yeah, I sign up for a premier agent with Zillow, pay all this money, and this couple called me last week, and they couldn't see the property until like 9 o'clock at night. And I said, well, you know what? Is the next morning okay? Yeah, sure. So I met them in the dark at like 6:45, showed them the property, set them up with the lender, and they had good rapport with the lender.
Mhm.
And then I got a text or a call from Derek and said, hey, somebody at work knows a good friend, blah, 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 blah. And so I got poached, so I'm out. But I sent them a nice email like they're my best friend. And if they ever need help, give me a call. It was not a good feeling.
I can only imagine. Yeah, listen, that's a good topic. I mean, I guess we can expand on, but when you're working in real estate, you really have like two ways of getting business, well, maybe three. You've got three ways of getting business. The first way is you can be referred business, which is probably the warmest relationship that you can have, and the people will probably be very committed to working with you if you end up getting referrals, which is a great way of conducting your business, but it takes years to develop a referral base. The other way is for you to prospect business, which means you pick up the phone or you door knock and you go and you meet people, you network, you meet people, which is very difficult for some. but not for others. And then the third way of you getting business would be you pay for it. You market, you do advertising. And with that one, that is going to be the least of all the ways that you can get business. That's probably going to be the way that you meet the people who are least committed to you. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people who are thumbing around the internet and they land on your profile on Zillow, or they see your open house campaign on Facebook, and they come out. Chances are you're not the only agent that they've contacted. Chances are they've contacted other agents, and chances are they might meet other agents along the way if you don't get them the house that they wanted maybe the first time around. So it is really important for you guys to kind of distinguish between people, because in the beginning we want to work with everyone, and we think we're losing money by not working with everyone and bending over backwards and losing weekends with our family to go and sacrifice time with these strangers, and then they turn around and they catfish you, like kind of Brent just said. This person ended up going with another agent. Well, at least they had the decency, Brent, to tell you.
That was nice.
Yeah, at least they had the decency to tell you, because I've had a lot of instances where people just don't pick up the phone anymore. It's just people, they don't how would I say, there's a lot of inconsiderate people out there, and they don't care that you aren't going to be compensated for your time. There's a lot of people out there who still think that real estate agents get paid by the hour. Maybe at some places they do, but you guys know that that's not the case for 99% of agents. So it's really our job to distinguish between a qualified buyer and someone who's not qualified, and someone who's emotionally attached and someone who's not emotionally attached. So when I say by qualified, I don't necessarily mean, and some of you guys may have heard me say this before, but I don't mean financially qualified. I mean qualified to work with you, because there's a big difference. Would you want to work with somebody who is 800 credit score, makes 100 grand a year, but is not financially invested in you, or not emotionally invested in you, I should say, and doesn't want to work with you? Or would you rather work with someone who maybe doesn't have perfect credit, who maybe needs to, maybe get the score up just a little bit, but is grateful of your time, and basically makes you feel like, you're doing them the favor? That's more of an emotionally and qualified person. That's somebody who you really would want to maybe focus more attention on, rather than the people who maybe are perfect, so perfect to the point that they know they can work with anyone and they don't need you. So be very careful. And I'm not saying that don't work with people with good credit or great financials or anything like that. I'm just saying, know how to distinguish between a qualified person who's qualified to work with you and a financially qualified person. And if you can get both, financially and qualified, to be with you and spend time with you, then you've got a winner. But if you can't find that, then I would say that it's okay to say no. And I'm not sure if, Ivania's on this call. She's fired people. I know there's other people on this call who have fired buyers. I've fired buyers, but I've only fired buyers after many, many years of getting burned. Like Brent just said, I've gotten burned plenty of times with buyers having me run around and then go crazy with them for a long time, and then end up buying with someone else. And sometimes you've even got, friends and family who don't even buy with you, and they buy with someone else. And it's painful, but it just shows you, that some people are not qualified to work with you. Now, it's easy to pass the blame and say, okay, well, it's their fault. They're not good people, but it's also our fault. We got to rein in also the responsibility, because we have to do what's called a buyer's consultation. Now, a buyer's consultation doesn't have to be this formal sit down where you guys, you lock the door and you sit down with them and pull the shades down. It doesn't have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to be an interrogation. It could literally be part of your conversation. So how can you jump into a conversation with someone and get the information that you need and get your point across that you're a professional that doesn't get compensated by the hour? Has anyone tried that? Has anyone have any dialogue they'd like to share with us? And then I'll kind of give you guys my pointers, and I'll give you guys kind of like the 3 questions that you always have to get answered. And some of you have heard me, because I've literally dialed this in so many times, but I'll repeat it again for everyone who hasn't heard it. But does anyone on this call have any dialogue they like using with new buyers? Maybe not right away, maybe not the first 5 minutes into a conversation, but is there any dialogue that you guys use in order to get the person to be more committed to you?
Well, let me just, you can critique maybe this is the reason I got poached, and you can help me directly.
Sure.
Hi, this is Brent Haggerty. I work with Zillow. I'm a licensed sales agent.
Yeah.
And I had a call from Zillow. They asked me to give you a call. You're looking at a home over in there. Would you like to go see that home today?
Mhm.
And they said, well, how about tomorrow morning? Okay, I'll meet you there at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So when I'm with them, before we left, we're in the house, and I said, do you have a lender? Are you qualified? Do you have a pre-mortgage approval? No, we don't. Do you have a lender? No, we don't. If I set you up, would you like? Yes, we would. So they talked to the lender more than once. He pre-qualified them, told them what they needed, told them why they didn't qualify. And then I did not ask them, Louis, for the contract because it felt too early. As far as the well, what's the term?
Pre-approval letter?
No, not the pre-approval, but that I would be their agent.
Oh, you mean the buyer's agreement?
Buyer's agreement. Maybe I should, but I didn't. So they said, yeah, we'll look at another house. And then they said, we're not going to be qualified. We think we might wait for a year to get better suited financially. And then I said, fine. So we were in good dialogue. I said, that's fine. And in the meantime, I'll leave you set up on the drip page with MLS. If you see something, maybe it will change sooner. Maybe we'll find a good deal. If not, stay in touch. Okay, fine. And then the next day he called me out of courtesy, and I do agree. It was very nice of him to call me and tell me the real deal. But
Yeah.
that's how it came down.
Okay, yeah. So you think that your biggest problem with that situation was the fact that you didn't get him to sign an exclusive buyer's agreement? For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's a document that it's basically a listing agreement for your buyer. It's saying that you guys are going to work exclusively, and if you find them a property, whether it's on or off market, you'll be compensated. Now, the compensation normally comes from the seller. So in the event that the seller is willing to pay a commission, you'll be compensated for your work from the seller. But in the event the seller is not paying a commission, the buyer will be responsible for your commission. And if there's a gap, well, they'll be different. They'll be responsible for the gap. So for instance, if the seller is paying 2% and you agreed on 3%, well, 1% would have to be paid by the buyer. And now I know in New Jersey, I'm not exactly sure how the Florida laws or laws anywhere else, but I'm pretty sure they're the same anywhere you go. They state that you cannot be compensated by a buyer and a seller at the same time because that's a conflict of interest. So the way that the exclusive buyer's agreement is written up, it states that the seller, that the buyer is always responsible for the commission. This is what the exclusive buyer's agreement says. But in the event that a seller is willing to compensate, then the buyer will be credited. So it's still always the buyer's responsibility, that whatever the seller is paying acts as a credit to the buyer. You guys understand? Okay, good. So now that we know what the exclusive buyer's agreement is, I don't think that the exclusive buyer's agreement was the problem. Does anyone else want to kind of give their 2 cents? What do you think maybe could have, I'm not saying there was a problem, but what could have helped Brent in that situation? Is there anything that we could have possibly done to help Brent's situation with that particular buyer?
Just simply asking. I know Trina put this in the chat, but simply asking, is there anyone else helping you with this process? Another agent, family member, just who else are you working with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Yeah. Is there anyone else helping you? That's one of my 3 questions. You guys nailed it down. That's a good way of putting it. Anyone else?
Maybe also asking if they're pre-qualified before even showing them homes, so that you're not showing them something that might disappoint them that they can't afford.
Okay, so how would you ask me that when I'm being too rough around the edges? Is it Sophia? Oh no, it's Rose. I'm sorry, Rose.
It's okay. I would just get on the phone with them and be like, hey, I'd love to show you homes, but before I do that, I just want to make sure that you are pre-qualified. And if you're not, I can contact you with a few of my lenders and see what you can afford so that I don't disappoint you with the homes I'm showing you.
Oh, okay. So you just want to make sure that I'm pre-qualified, so you show me the right homes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. Okay, cool. That's a good way of putting it. Does anyone else want to
Yes,
add anything?
I say like I get a lot of online leads and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, I want to see his home. I said, yeah, sure. Let me get back to you. And then after a few minutes, I just say, hey, the seller is requesting a pre-approval letter. Do you have one? Send me a screenshot. So we can go and see his home right now.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have one. Okay, I recommend you one right now.
Okay. Now, you know what? I don't want to get my credit ran, Alejandro. Can you just show me the house anyway?
I understand the seller is not with this COVID thing. They don't want any window shoppers in the house.
Okay. All right. So they basically don't want to sell their house, is what you're telling me.
They don't want to show a house that don't qualify for buyers. They just only want to show to qualified buyers.
Okay.
So that's why they requesting a pre-approval letter before we even see it.
Well, I'm more than qualified. I can buy a house cash if I wanted to, but I just want to
Sure,
see the
just-
house before I share any of my personal information.
I understand the pre-qualification letter is only a letter that say your name. It doesn't say absolutely anything. It says you qualify for this amount, and that's all. It's
Yeah,
nothing
but
personal.
are they going to check my credit?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they do.
Okay. Well, I have a pre-approval letter from last year that I can send you.
Expire every 90 days, unfortunately.
Okay. So I guess, this is probably not the right house for me then. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
You see, you don't have to work with everyone. If someone's going to be a
No.
jerk like that,
Yeah,
It's
no, I
better
don't
for you to
want to talk.
it's better for you to cut them loose in the
Right.
very beginning. And there's people who are going to say that to you. There's people who are going to say, I don't want my credit ran. My pre-approval letter is still good from last year. People are going to tell you that they have enough money. People that boast about how much money they have are people who don't have any money. You guys agree? I think someone has a question. Shakira?
Yes, we talked about pre-approvals. I have a question about cash offers. Here in the Austin, Texas area, we're getting a lot of people from California coming in, and they're able to buy the home with cash. In that instance, do they have to have a letter saying that this is the amount of money that I have on hand?
That's a great question. That's a very good question. So her question is, there's a lot of buyers coming in from out of state buying cash. And yes, so what happens is this is a good way of putting it for you not to offend those people who are maybe affluent or have a lot of cash or have a lot of money. So Shakita, let's just say that you are my buyer and you're contacting me. Shakita, I know you really want to see this property, but one of the requirements that the listing agent is asking before showings is that we provide a pre-approval letter or proof of funds. So will you be buying this home with financing, or are you going to be buying all cash?
Cash.
Cash. Okay, good. And in the event that you're going to buy cash, all I need from you is if you could send me a screenshot or send me the first page of your bank statements or your 401k, wherever you think you're going to be getting the money from. So that way I can show it to the buyer's to the seller's agent, and I can get us that appointment. Now, let's just pretend you said, you know what, I don't have it in cash right now, but I'm going to be selling my house and I'm going to get it from there. Tell me that. Shakita?
How would I handle that? Would I say, show me an appraisal of your home?
Yeah, so good question. So what you're telling me, Shakita, is that you will be buying cash, but you need the cash from your property in order to be able to buy this house. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Is your home currently under contract right now?
No, it is not.
Is it on the market?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
It is on the market, but you don't have it under contract. Okay. In the event that your home does not sell, do you have any other way of purchasing the property? Have you been pre-qualified by someone to see if maybe you can carry both homes?
The purchase of a home is strictly based on the sale of my home.
Okay, so you're gonna put in a contingency on the sale of your home that you're gonna buy another one.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So basically, what I would do in this situation is the following. Listen, in this environment right now, the way that things are here in Florida right now, offers are getting rejected even over ask, all cash. So we have to try to position ourselves as strong as possible. Now, I can show you the home. That's not a problem. Showing your home is not the problem. The problem is getting the seller to take you seriously. And in order to be able to get your offer taken seriously, we need to have a backup form in order to be able to make the offer. So when we make the offer, we can't just say, okay, well, I don't have a pre-approval letter. I'm just going to take the cash from my house and I'm going to buy your house, because then you're not really qualified. What we need to do is put in a contingency plan in place. And we can say that we're going to buy it cash, but in the event we can't buy it cash, we have a plan B. Even though you know and I know your house is going to sell. It's probably a great house and you're going to price it right. But what we need to do is at least show the seller that we have a plan B in order to buy the house, so we don't waste our time for 60 days. Meanwhile, the house is off the market and they could have sold it to someone else. So put yourself in the position of the seller. Wouldn't you want to do the same thing? Right, Shakita?
I'm sorry, y'all, I'm driving.
Oh, that's okay, that's okay. Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is it's okay if the person says, look, I got to sell my house, and from the sale of my house, I'm going to buy it cash. It's okay to work with someone like that. I think what's more important is to have a conversation with them about, okay, listen, if your home doesn't sell, do we have a plan B? And but maybe that's a conversation that's better had in person or better had on the second phone call. The first conversation should be just about building rapport and maybe getting that person to the house, but making sure that that person understands that, hey, listen, I understand you're buying cash, but in order to make this offer, we can't just make an offer and say, hey, we have our fingers crossed and let's hope that, everything works out. That doesn't work really well with getting your offers accepted. So setting the right expectations is also very important, because if a buyer is going to work with you, you have to add value way beyond just opening a door, because anyone can open a door. They can go to an open house. They can contact a listing agent. They can find a for sale by owner. They could do a lot of things without you. They don't really need us nowadays to buy a house. What we need to do is be the professional that educates them in a way where they understand that this is the way it's done. And if you want the highest possible chance of getting your offer accepted, this is the plan we have to put in place. If you help them with a plan, they'll be more likely to stick with you, even if their offer does not get accepted. Now, I know in Brent's case, I know Brent didn't do anything wrong when it comes to service, because I know what kind of a person Brent is. So we're not here to try to say that, Brent, you could have did this or should have done that. We're just here to try to learn from Brent's experience so we can kind of expand and not let this happen to us again. Now, the same thing could be said about, anything, listings, you set expectations, delivering value beyond what you're being paid for. It's all relevant. So we can all literally learn these things throughout, no matter what kind of business we're doing. So we've already covered the question about, are you working with another agent? We're gonna practice that a little bit more. We've already covered, are you pre-qualified? And Shakita brought up a good point. What if they are qualified, but they're cash? How do we get them to prove that they're cash? Very simple. I'm not sure how anyone else on this call has handled it before, but you can simply just ask for the first page of the bank statement. You can ask for a copy of the first page of the 401k. Some people now, they have money in stocks and in crypto and different places. All you need is a screenshot, or you need something showing that it's their name and the cash or whatever liquid form of assets they have. Now, you have to know the difference between liquid and illiquid, because there's things that cannot be liquidated. So you guys have to make sure that it's liquid. So a house is not liquid. A house has to go through a process to be liquidated. That's why in that situation where the seller's like, yeah, I'm going to buy cash, but I got to sell my house. Well, that's great, but what if it doesn't sell? We have to have a kind of a contingency backup plan. Does anyone else here have dialogue for when someone is cash and they just want to go see a house? Do you guys ask for a pre-approval? I'm sorry, do you guys ask for the proof of funds? And how do you do that?
I don't particularly have a dialogue. I'm just very upfront because I love my buyers. So I'm very upfront with them at the very beginning of, this is how I do business. But basically when I'm on the initial call, after I'm asking them the bunch of questions of why they're looking, how they're looking, how soon, when I get down past the normal questions, I always tell them, I'm willing to be transparent with you. Mm-hmm. I'm asking that you do the same with me. In order for us to work together, I do require that we go through this exclusive buyer brokerage agreement, since you're not working with anyone. And here are the following documents that I would require.
Okay.
And my job is to educate you so that you can make the very best decision. And then I have a bunch, not a bunch, but I have several things that I tell them that I don't do.
Okay.
And that when I tell them what I don't do, it kind of warms them up pretty much, letting them know, hey, she pretty much knows what she's talking about, or she has experience, and we're going to work with her. And after that, I pretty much really don't have a problem, because I don't like saying, and this is just me, I don't like saying, well, the seller requires this or the seller requires that.
Yeah.
No, I require it because I'm going to represent you if we can work together. And I'll leave it at that.
So Louis, do you think if I had had that exclusive buyer's agreement based on what Belinda just said, would they be legally bound to me for at least a percentage or not?
Yes, they would be legally bound to you because it is a contract.
Okay.
And psychologically, they probably would also stick with you, because when you sign something and you understand what you're signing, you psychologically, you're there with the person. Now, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have just ghosted you anyway and done it behind your back and you would have never found out. They could have still done that. But it just increases your chances of it not happening. So yeah, I mean, any step you can take to prevent that, then yeah, like it's important. Now, if I'm sitting with you, Brent, and you're my buyer, and I say, listen, Brent, it's very important for you to understand something. I'm going to work to the highest of my capacity to try to get you this property. And if this property doesn't work out, I'm going to continue working and leave no stone unturned until we find the right one for you. But I need you to understand how I work with my clients. Now, the reason why you need to understand this is because I do not get compensated for the work I'm going to do for you until we both win. When we both win, it means you cross the finish line, you get your dream home. That's the only time I get compensated. So what I need you to understand is that a lot of times in this industry, including myself, agents, they kind of get tossed to the sideline because maybe the buyer has a friend in the family who just got their license, or maybe they bump into an agent at an open house. And I need you to understand that when I work with someone, I give it my all, and I'm going to give you my all. But I need you to also let me know that you're going to commit to working with me, so I know that I'm not going to pick up any additional clients. I'm going to spend my time working with you until we get your house. And then once we get your house, then I know I can open myself up to other people, because finding a home is very time heavy or time centric, and I need you to understand that we're in this together. So as long as you're in it with me, I'm in it with you. Maybe a conversation like that, where, whatever you feel comfortable saying, but you need to let the person know that, you're willing to work together with them as long as they're willing to work together with you.
Yeah.
And I think that talk might even go further than having them sign an exclusive buyer's agreement, because like I said, if you're just cold about it and matter of fact about it, you got to sign this exclusive buyer's agreement. This means that we work together. This means I have duties to you. This means you have duties to me. That's just kind of like, all right, well, it's just a cold type of, relationship. But if you have this uncomfortable talk with them, I think they will appreciate that relationship more. And if they don't, then at least you got your warning sign in the beginning.
Yeah. Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, because if they say to you, well, Brent, if that's the case, well, you know what, we're really not sure, who we're going to work with. We do have a friend who's getting a license, or, I don't know if we're at that stage yet, Brent, where we want to commit to an agent. Oh, no problem. I totally understand. And I'm very grateful that you made that clear to me. But unfortunately, I don't think I'll be the right agent for you. As far as showing you this house, I can show you this house. But if it doesn't work out for you, then obviously, let me know if anything changes at your end, because I need to make sure that I'm working with someone who's committed to me as I'm committed to them.
It's very helpful. I appreciate the input.
No problem. No problem. I think we have, we have a question. I'm not sure who that is.
Hi, Louis.
I'm sorry.
My name is Sharika.
Sharika. Hi, Sharika. How are you? I'm sorry. You just
Hi,
had your
I'm
initial
one of.
screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm one of Tammy's mentor. She's on the line too. We also just had this conversation the other day, and I'm kind of like Brent. Like I didn't want to ask on the first visit.
Yeah.
So it kind of scared me. Tammy was like, you gotta ask, but I didn't want to. I watched the last video where you said kind of do like on the second visit. Like we only went to go see one house. There's a woman that I work with here in the hospital, and her daughter is also a realtor. And I think she may have exhausted her.
Yeah.
So she asked me, and she actually said to me, like, I said, I don't want any problems or conflicts with your daughter. If it comes, she said to me, whoever finds her the house. you know, would get the deal. But I
Mhm.
didn't sign anything with her because it was only the first time. She only asked me one time. But I was like, I told Tammy I didn't want to ask her the very first visit. So I said, I'm not going to be going around every single day or every single time. No. But she did ask me, and I did go, but I didn't want to just ask her right then and there because it was the first time she asked me, the first time we, you know, dealt with each other.
Yeah.
We ended up going to see the house, and financially it wasn't for her, and it needed too much work for the amount of money. So we didn't go with it. But I'm like, how do you just ask right up front?
Mhm.
Like for that seller's, you know, that buyer's disclosure.
Okay. Does anyone have any suggestions for Sharika?
I do,
Mhm.
because you already know her and you know that her daughter's a realtor. It's more of a psychological thing dealing with her. You need to let her know that her that she belongs with her daughter, especially if it's going to cause a family conflict. I would not get involved.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mother to mother. Mother to mother.
Hmm. Of course, 100%. Anyone else? Give input on that?
Could also offer them a referral fee if they're not actively practicing real estate. If they are actively practicing, I would respectfully just bow out. That's mother-daughter relationship. You can't interfere with that.
Yeah. So what Chris is saying is a very good idea. I was waiting for someone to say that.
Chris is saying is a very good idea. I was waiting
Let me mute someone. Hold on. Yeah, what Chris is saying is a very good, valid point. And when you do have family members who are not active but have a license, you need to address that right in the beginning, because it could definitely be something that becomes uncomfortable later. So if you can get that referral fee signed right up in the beginning, at least it takes away the possibility of them taking the entire deal later. Or you could just gracefully bow out and say, look, it's not for me. This transaction is not for me. Because there are plenty of buyers out there, guys. If there's one thing that's abundant in this world right now, it's buyers. So do not lose sleep over a buyer, and do not get hung up over someone who decided to work with their cousin. You know, it's not the end of the world. Just move on, and there's bigger fish to fry. So yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it, Chris. If you do have somebody in the family who's not active, but they have a license and you feel like it may become a problem, and a person says, look, I want to work with you, but I feel bad that my sister, she has a real estate license, but you know, she has a full-time job. Well, listen, you know what? Let's give your sister a really good surprise. You know, if you think that she might possibly be offended if you don't work with her, what if I were to offer her a referral just for having her license and, you know, giving your business to me? You think she'd be happy with that? And quite possibly she might be happy with it. Or some people are never happy with anything. Some people are just like, oh, I'm still offended. So, you know, those situations, you got to really play it by ear, and it's okay to walk away. It's okay to say no. There's a lot of business out there. If you concentrate on nothing but bad business, or business that's going to drive you crazy, you're going to hate this business. You're going to hate real estate. And it's not real estate for someone who's getting into it right now. Do you guys remember the people who've been on this call? The people who are on this call who've been in business for a few years. Remember how excited you were your first year, your first few months, your first few weeks? Now that fades away, and it fades away even quicker if you work with the wrong people. If you work with the right people, it won't feel like work. It would feel like you're helping, and you'll feel like you're making a difference. So pick those people wisely, and then see how much more business you will do, and how much better your income is as well. All right. There's one other question that you guys haven't asked yet. Anyone else want to maybe find out the third pillar or third question that you should always ask a buyer when you're working with them?
Yes, Lewis, what's the question?
Okay. Timeline. What's their timeline? What if somebody's like, oh yeah, like I want to buy a house in the next 30 days, or I want to buy a house when my lease expires, or I'll buy a house if I find the right price. Are you in any kind of time frame? No, if I find the right house, I'll buy it. Okay. So how do we ask about the timeline without offending the person, or without sounding like it's only about you? Because I've heard some really bad ones.
I actually have like a one-on-one link they have to schedule with me before I even talk to them. So all those questions are on a link required for them to answer. So therefore, by the time I have a conversation, I pretty much have an idea how the conversation gonna go.
What do those questions sound like?
I gotta go on my link. One of them is the time frame. One of them is asking is they pre-approved. One of them is what's the time frame? Are you pre-approved? Are you looking to buy or sell? What else? Have they talked to a lender or do they need a prefer? I can't remember all the questions. It's about 6 questions, honestly.
Yeah.
But it just pretty much give me an idea of where the conversation gonna go.
Nice.
And what I've decided to do is I can't, like, if someone call me off a spur of the moment, I'm gonna direct them to my link. I'm gonna direct them to my link. And by the time I have a conversation with them, I hear myself echoing.
All right, I took care of it. Go ahead.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
So by the time I have a conversation with them, I have all the questions, answers. I'm in front of my computer and I have a one-on-one where I can give them all my attention. So 2022, if they're not on my calendar, I'm not really talking to them because I realized I had to create systems to help me stay focused and organized. And I can serve my clients better. So yeah.
I like it.
Way to go, Tammy.
That's awesome. Tammy, we could all learn from you for sure.
Is it Calendly? Because I just set up my Calendly.
It's Calendly, yeah. So yeah, they gotta go there for the appointment so I can have a decent conversation. Because when we driving and we doing other things, trying to have that conversation is not always the right time.
So everyone wants you to put the Calendly link in the chat if you can, and I'll show it. We'll thumb through it just to see what kind of questions you have on there. Okay, so let's role play that for 1 second, and let's see how that would sound if you're working with a buyer. So if you wouldn't mind, let me see, Alejandro, would you want to role play that with me real quick? If you're able to talk.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. All right. So Alejandro, I'm going to be the buyer, and ask me how soon am I looking to buy a property in the way you would normally say it. Okay.
Mr. Luis, are you looking to buy it, the next one in the next 30, 60, or 90 days?
Well, to be honest with you, I really haven't given it much thought. My wife and I were just kind of like trying to figure out if there's anything out there that's worth buying, and then we'll kind of make that decision later on.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Have you talked to a lender yet about the loan to buy this house?
Well, I know I'll be qualified because I have a really good credit score, and I've never had a problem getting qualified for anything in my life, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, I understand. But to see the right price for you, we don't want to look all over the place. We don't have any direction, so I suggest you talk to a lender first, so at least we have a number to go with, so I can show you those homes.
But I just want to see this one house. We can worry about that later if I want to make an offer.
Okay, yeah, I understand. But unfortunately, right now with this COVID thing, sellers don't want just anybody walking in the house. They want qualified buyers inside the house. And for that, we're going to need a pre-approval. So if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard for me to show you any home.
All right. Well, listen, can we talk about that in person, I guess, when I meet you at the house?
Absolutely, yes. We can meet on my office and we can have a conversation about your goals and stuff like that. How can I serve you?
Yeah, because I just don't feel comfortable, talking about my financial situation on the phone. If we could see the house this Sunday, then, we can talk about it afterwards.
Sure, we can meet up at my office before we go, and then we'll get the lender as well to talk to you, and then we get ready to go.
Okay, can we do that all from the house instead of going to your office so we don't have to make 2 stops?
Like I mentioned, we're going to need a pre-approval to actually get inside the house. They don't want anybody just walking.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll do that. We can do that. So where's your office? Whatever. We'll meet there on Saturday at 12.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So you see, I was trying to get away from not having that buyer consultation. I was trying to kind of deflect the whole meeting in the office thing. And Alejandro kept driving at home because it was important. So what I used to do when I was working actively as just an agent, and I focused a lot on buyers, I started to do a process kind of like Tammy did, and I started to filter my buyers. The biggest filter you can do with a buyer is getting a buyer to meet with you outside of just looking at a house. So if you can get a buyer to meet with you in person, not because of a house, then you've got yourself someone serious. So for instance, if I'm getting a call today and someone says to me, hey, I'm interested in 123 Main Street. Okay, perfect. 123 Main Street is available. Would you like to see it? Yes. Okay. What time? 2 o'clock. Perfect. Bang. So you're meeting the person at the house, right? So it is your responsibility that when you meet that person at that house, that you have the buyer's consultation with them at some point when you meet with them. Now, what if that same person calls me and says, I want to see 123 Main Street? Oh, you know what? Unfortunately, the house is not available. So if the house is not available, you have to have that person still want to meet with you in person, even though there's no house, right? Alejandro kind of already has the house and he's dangling it in my face and he's going to make me meet with him, which is good. You can do that as well. And that's even better of a filter, because Alejandro's going to meet with him in a separate location first and then go to the house. And absolutely, you can do that. You can meet at Starbucks first and then the closest Starbucks to the property, whatever you want to do if your office is too far away, or if you don't have an office and you're just virtual like us. If you have on a weekend, you know, the Regis's are closed, you can do a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever. But the point is, get the person to meet with you in a setting that might not necessarily be the house. Now, if it is the house, then you have to somehow, after looking at the house or before looking at the house, have this conversation with them about a buyer's consultation. The 3 questions: are you working with anyone else? Are you being pre-qualified? Or are you willing to get pre-qualified? And the 3rd question is, how soon are you looking to buy? Those are the 3 questions you have to really drive into your head. And like Alejandro put it, you know, a lot of times the buyers, the properties don't want to be shown without having a pre-approval letter. That's one way to get them into your office, or that's one way to make sure they're serious if they're willing to allow your lender to contact them. Now, another way of getting them to meet with you is saying, listen, unfortunately, that house is not on the market, but I have a lot of other ones that are. And the person might say, okay, great, well, send them over to me. And unless they're in another state, then I can understand you having to do that. But if they're local, what you would have to say to them is that, unfortunately, that's not how I work. But what I would love to do is set an appointment for you to come by the office so I can not only show you those properties, but we have some other properties that are going to be coming on the market pretty soon that I'm not at liberty to email out. So if you want to kind of have first dibs at that kind of inventory, then I would love to meet with you in person this Saturday if you can come, you know, before noon. And then the person will be like, oh, okay, so now you're adding value instead of just sending me the same properties I can find on Zillow anyway. You're adding value. So I've always used that as a way to get people in the office. I've always said that to them. I've said, I have some properties that are going to be coming to the market soon. And then when you come to the office, I always have properties. Number one, I ask my colleagues if they have any inventory that's going to be coming on the market soon. And 9 times out of 10, they have something, even if it's not the ideal property that they're looking for, it's something, because people don't always buy the house that the type of house they're looking at. They sometimes buy a different type of house. So at least it's something. And if those properties are not available, then guess what? What you could do is you can pull up a list of homes that are in pre-foreclosure or homes that are possibly bank owned that are not on Zillow right now. And you can kind of be like, well, look, these homes are options. And then when you meet with the person, they may say, well, you know, we don't really want to fix her up, or you know, we're not able to buy them cash, or, you know, we don't want to go the hard money route. So that's fine. But at least you got them to come into the office and you had something for them that they couldn't have gotten themselves. Okay. That's just one way of doing it. I'm not saying it's the only way or the best way. It's just the way that I used to do it. And it worked as a filter for me because it eliminated anyone who was not serious. Anyone who was not serious would not come to my office and meet with me. Anyone who was serious would come to my office and meet with me. Same thing goes for investors. Same thing goes for sellers. Same thing goes for buyers. You got to create some kind of a filter so you know you're not just spinning your wheels and wasting your time with anyone. Does anyone else have a filter that they use that they can share with us? I like Tammy's filter. That was awesome. I like that.
Hi, good morning, guys.
Hey, what's up, Ivania?
I don't even meet with buyers unless they're qualified. If they're not qualified, I offer for them to meet with my lender.
Okay.
And I do is I offer to put them on a 3-way chat. So I introduce my lender, you know, I highly speak of them. Then I tell the client that they're going to be in good hands. And then I follow up with them. You know, did you guys meet? Did you send the docs? And then I meet with them once they're qualified. And that saves me a lot of time.
Beautiful. Were you worried in the beginning that you were going to lose business?
That because I was sending them, no, because most of them were coming from referrals. I really had much experience working from people that call me just, from Zillow or anything like that.
Yeah.
I haven't used Zillow leads. What I do is I partner up with lenders and I send them my new listing. So they run the Zillow campaign. So what they do is they call them and they qualify the people. And then if they came from that campaign, then they send them back to me.
Okay, perfect. That works. That's a good way of doing it. Anyone else?
I would, when I have them on the phone, I put on my inside sales cap. So I want to hit them with unique selling propositions, give them a reason as to why they should sit down with me as opposed to anybody else. Oftentimes they'll be like, well, I'm only interested in this one property. So then I'll hit them with an open-ended question. Is that the only home that you're interested in? Or would you be open to other options that might represent a better deal? Who's going to say no to that, right? So that's like one hook. Then another hook that I would typically use would be, well, I've got a $10,000 savings guarantee. I guarantee I'll save you $10,000 off the list price of any home, or I pay you money at closing. That's like a second hook that kind of gets them interested in wanting to sit down with you. And if that doesn't close them, then the third one is, well, I've got a system that'll give you priority access to bank-owned homes, pre-foreclosure homes, and regular listings before you see them on public websites. That's something that you might be interested in. So typically with that third hook, I close them and I can book that face-to-face. So I've always been very disciplined with meeting them in the office and giving them a quick buyer presentation. And the first part of that buyer presentation is actually me breaking down the numbers and giving them a brief insight on what a mortgage company is going to a mortgage company is going to qualify them. So, breaking down a payment, monthly principal and interest, tax and insurance, calculating the PMI if you're doing 3.5% down. Just a brief introduction on, what it's going to be like when they finally talk to a mortgage rep. So I can, in a sense, qualify them myself. Because I know the 3 points they need to qualify, right? We all know what the minimum FICO requirement is. We all know what the down payment requirements are. And most importantly, we know what the debt to income ratios are. So I literally write down, okay, let's go down the list of your monthly responsibilities. Okay, this is your estimated mortgage payment based on this house that you called me on. Do you have a car payment? You have student loans? And I literally, I get it off of them right there face to face. And then from there, I'll go into the whole buyer presentation. You're hiring me as your buyer's agent, giving them the pros and cons of working with me. And then I pull out that buyer agency agreement, which I've been extremely disciplined with using, particularly that section 5 that outlines how much I'm going to earn on that particular transaction. So we were talking about that briefly before. So I would always fill in 3.5%. So my commission is 3.5% of the sales price. But in most cases, I get the seller to offset that and pay that. And then I'll go into, if there's a deficiency in the fee, you're responsible for that. But I don't want to make you pay that. I simply ask that you give me the opportunity to negotiate with the seller and ask that the seller pay my full 3.5% fee. Now, mind you, before the craziness of this market, right? Because it's a seller's market right now.
Yeah.
And I can't compete with 10 or 15 other buyers presenting offers. And I'm in here trying to collect a 1% deficiency on my fee, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't work in this market. But when the market shifts, that section 5 is extremely powerful because you can actually earn more and work less. So my average commission per transaction was at 3.75% on every single transaction. That's a very powerful tool that's available to us as realtors that we don't really utilize. Ever since I've joined EXP, I don't have the brick and mortar anymore. So I've kind of steered away from the face-to-face. I also don't have as many buyers as I used to, but those are some of the hooks, from inside sales to getting them, closing them to a face-to-face, and then using that buyer agency agreement, which is extremely powerful because it's a commitment from them to me and from me to them. And most importantly, that number 5 really gives you an opportunity to earn more money. And I even collect a transaction fee. So it's a powerful tool that we all have available to us. And unfortunately, a lot of our industry does not use it.
Majority of agents don't use it because they're scared that they're going to be rejected, turned down. But it's the ultimate filter. And see, this is why you guys join these Monday morning meetings, is because you get knowledge bombs on you, like Chris just gave. Like he used some really, really good closers there. He used some really good lines that I was blown away by. Like, how could you say no to some of those things that Chris said? And it takes time. I'm sure Chris in the beginning was fumbling all over himself with buyers and making all the mistakes. But it took all of those jabs in order for him to say, you know what, I got to change something. If I don't change something, I'm gonna completely burn myself out. So by him getting serious about his business and getting tough about the things that he was ultimately passionate about or serious about that he did not repeat, his business changed. And that same thing's going to happen to you guys. And I'm sure some of you are already way beyond that, but I'm taking stuff away from what Chris said. And, I've been in this business just as long as him, and I'm learning from him. So you can never stop, guys, improving your process. And Chris, thank you so much for that. That was an amazing addition of what you guys can do and say. So yeah, congratulations.
Yes, Chris, I love it. And I like the fact that he is adding value to them. And I believe that's what's going to get them to sign that buyer's agreement, because they see that you are adding value by having that buyer's presentation, instead of just saying, okay, yeah, let's just go out. Like, I've been there, done that. I'm not doing that no more. I created the system, and that way it's going to filter out the ones that's not serious, and the ones that are, it's going to allow me to spend my quality time with them. And I love it, Chris. That's my goal next year, to put a percentage on that buyer's agreement. I'm not there yet, though.
A little tough in this market,
I love
but we're going to get back to a normal market where we'll have the opportunity to do that. And at that point, I'd love to do, Louis will give me an opportunity. I can share my screen and I can show you exactly how I present those offers to listing agents. And oftentimes listing agents will be like, you can't do that. And I'd be like, sure you can. And I would literally save samples of HUD ones where I've closed, and I would show the GSMLS listing that was paying out 2.5% or 2%. And then I'd show on the HUD where I actually got 3.5%. And in some cases, the listing agent was getting less than me.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. But again, these are all tools that are readily available to us as real estate agents, and especially using that buyer agency agreement.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next Monday, Chris, if you can make the call, definitely share that with us so everyone here can learn.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
because on that note, when I first started with EXP, my New York mentor gave me that advice, and everyone out of my peers and colleagues that I asked was like, 90% of them like, you're crazy. That's so wrong. Like, how dare you treat your buyer that way? When I tell you, I've only chosen to really work hard with one buyer, I've fired the rest, and that's because they're paying me 3%. Again, the difference is on the other side, but it's so good to hear you say that, Chris. Thank you so much. I will definitely be on next Monday's call as well.
It's funny because when I went to broker school, I'll never forget, there's like this whole section at broker school that talks about buyer agency agreement. So one of the questions that the teacher asks, Gary Large, he says, anyone in here, stipulate how much you're going to earn from the buyer? Of course, nobody's hands go up. My hand goes up. He's like, Chris, how much do you charge your buyers? 3.5%. And the whole class turned around, like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. And then Gary's like, you guys are all absolutely wrong. You can do that, Chris. And he pulls out section 5. So yeah, it's a powerful tool.
Yeah, super powerful. And it takes a skilled, you know what? I'll take that back. It does not take a skilled, but it takes a person who has practiced it to the point where they become skilled, because no one is born skilled. And if you practice that buyer's agreement enough times, you will become a master at explaining it to the point where the buyer is going to feel he or she is at a disadvantage by not entering into that agreement with you. So the way you do it, Chris, and the way you explained it with the guarantees, with the proof and all the things that you put in place, it works. And I don't care what you guys say. I'm gonna go against you guys on this. I think this market is even more of a reason for buyers to sign this. Because if we're in a buyer's market where a buyer can buy a house from anywhere and anyone at any time, then I could say it probably doesn't have that much value. But given the fact that right now is one of the hardest markets for you to find a buyer a house, number one. And number two, it's going to be hard for them to get their offer accepted unless they work with someone who really knows the tricks of the trade, for a lack of a better term. So, I mean, explaining that to them, and I'm sure that they have heard the stories of how many people are offering on the same properties. I think that's more of a reason for you guys to be able to collect this in this type of environment. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you guys agree or disagree?
You know, Louis, I
100%.
like that. And
I
I think
agree.
it's definitely going to take a paradigm shift for me, because right now my mindset's like, oh my God, it's multiple offer in every single deal. There's no way that I'm going to get this. But I just got to have the paradigm shift, and I just got to take action and give it a shot. Because if I don't try, the answer is no if you never ask, right?
Of course.
So I'm going to make a commitment that this month in February, I'm going to put a buyer transaction together with the buyer agency agreement, and I'm going to collect more than what's being paid out by the listing broker. You think about it. It is a lot more work. It's a lot more houses we're showing, probably a lot more offers that we're submitting on behalf of that client.
Yeah.
So I want more.
Yeah. And you have to exercise a lot of the things that you normally wouldn't do in a buyer's market, such as perhaps delivering the offer in person, or maybe, calling around to see what agents in that office that can possibly put in a good word for you, that you're a good agent. You have to do more things now in order to get your offers accepted. So absolutely. And everything is in the presentation. So how you present something is how someone is going to understand it. If you've convinced yourself that this is not the right market for a buyer's agreement with 3.5%, then you're 100% right. But if you can convince yourself that this is more of a market where you should be exercising that, then you're 100% right as well. Depends on what you want to.
No drinks at least, right? You don't have no drink over there, right?
Yeah, it just depends on what you want to take yourself at. So, yeah. Anyone else want to add anything before we break out? Good stuff today, though. Good stuff. And you know what? I love the fact that we've kind of hit both intermediate, beginner, and advanced type of.
The health department here, so I'm throwing this out. Okay. Can I just put your cup in here?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to mute their phone.
Yeah, I just muted. I didn't know who it was. I had to mute someone. Yeah. So does anyone want to add anything? Oh, you're muted, sweetheart. You got to unmute. You're still muted.
While she's getting that together.
Yeah, of course.
Next week, Chris and Louis, if we could go over how, because I know that this is important. It's a question that I got a lot too, because I work with a lot of brokerage agreements. How to help the buyer get the funds for paying your commission.
Oh,
so
great question.
Definitely
great question.
go over that. How were they able to cover it if they're already getting a mortgage?
Yeah, great question. And the other question too is, does the lender also have a problem with your buyer's agreement, because it may enter into what's called a high cost loan? So we'll talk about those type of scenarios.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've learned the hard way on how you have to do it when you're getting a mortgage.
Yeah.
And I can definitely share my experiences, my failures in the beginning, where I had the agreement signed, I was unable to collect it at closing, and then what I had to do to implement to make sure that didn't happen again.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear about that. And I think.
Do you guys hear me now?
Now we hear you. Yeah, now we hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. How do I go?
Sweetheart?
I'm sorry?
Introduce yourself to the crew. Some of you don't.
My name is Raquel. My name is Raquel Gonzalez. My husband is Joseph.
Yeah.
We're new realtors. We got our license this year, July. I'm working with a buyer. How do I go about explaining to her that we might have to do another pre-approval in case we don't find her the home that they're looking for? They only want in one specific town. They're very specific, a 2-family home, and based on their pre-approval, right now there's nothing on the market. So I might have to start talking to them about the possibility of having to get pre-approved.
You mean getting approved for more?
Yeah, getting approved for more.
Okay. I guess to me, what I would do is I would ask enough questions to the point where they figure out the answer that you want them to have, which is what you wanted to say. Now, if that sounds confusing, let me explain that to you again. The easiest way to convince someone to do what you want them to do is for them to come up with the answer that you want them to have. Okay. So if you are my buyer and I've been showing you homes and there's nothing that you like in the price range that you're qualified for, and I know the market well, enough to know that there isn't going to be anything. And if something does pop up in your price range, it's going to get bid up to above what you're qualified for anyway. So I already know this. So how do I handle it? So what I would say is this. I would say, Raquel, of all the homes that we've seen so far, are any of the homes a possibility for you?
No.
No? Okay. If any of those homes were cheaper, would they be a possibility for you?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is you're willing to buy a fixer-upper?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean,
go ahead.
There's buyers, they're willing to find a home, I mean, get a home that might need work, but not a lot.
Okay.
I feel that the problem right now is that it's the amount that they got pre-approved for. There's properties, but it's a lot, on the higher end.
Okay. But okay, so what you know that they would like is more than they're qualified for currently.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
What the type of house that you know they would like is currently more than what they're qualified for, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would say is this. What I would ask them the following questions. Okay, so let's start again where we were. Raquel, of all the homes that we've seen so far, did you like any of those homes enough to make an offer on them?
Yes.
You did. Okay, which home did you like? Maybe we can prepare an offer for.
I don't know, I'll say the one on 315 State Street.
Okay. Well, in the type of environment that we are right now, there has to be at least a full price offer. Is that something you're prepared to do?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, in that case, then I don't think we're probably going to have too much of a chance with that one. What I do want to tell you is that I've noticed that a lot of the homes I've been showing you, you weren't too crazy about, and they probably needed a little bit more work. Now, are you willing to do the work to get it to the point where it's your dream home?
Sure. It depends on what kind of work has got to get done.
Okay, well, the price range that we've been looking in, Raquel, the homes need new kitchens and new baths. So, that's probably going to run you somewhere around $50,000, at least, especially in this market right now. Is that enough for you to be willing to pull the trigger and make an offer on a property?
Probably I will have to get back and talk it over with the family.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that you're willing to buy one of the properties that I've shown you, as long as you can keep the construction budget at around 50,000.
Yes.
Okay, good. So we have an option. Now, let's just say that you told me, no, you're not willing to do the construction. Okay, so are you willing to maybe put some elbow grease in and do some work, maybe a $50,000 budget to get your dream kitchen, dream bathroom? Is that something that you're willing to do?
Yeah.
No, tell me no. Tell me no.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I totally understand. But what I want to explain to you is this. Right now, unfortunately, what prices were for homes last year, it's no longer the same. It's no longer the same market. And what I've been noticing is that every home in the price range that I've been showing you needs a lot of work. So what I suggest is that maybe we take a look at a home that's a little bit more than what you're looking at right now. But I do have good news. I don't consider this as being obviously something terrible. The good news is that if we look at a home that's a little bit more than what you're looking for right now, you won't spend any money out of pocket fixing it after you buy it, which is always a savings. And the other thing too is that you'll collect more in rent if we buy a home that's more valuable, which should kind of level off what you're going to be paying for every month anyway. Is that something that you're willing to look at?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in the event that you're willing to keep an open mind to looking at those properties, the only difference from what we're doing right now is we would just have to get your pre-approval updated to an additional maybe $25,000, $50,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but keep in mind, you're only going to be putting down 3.5% of that money. So, and the end of the day, it's really only a couple $1,000s more that you may have to come up with at closing. But we keep looking around for homes that don't really exist right now. So what I think we should do is keep our options open. And then if you don't like the home because it's way out of your comfort level when it comes to the monthly payments, then we know at least we tried. Is that something you're willing to do?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what I just did is I asked you enough questions and I proposed enough scenarios where she came up with the answer that I wanted her to have. Instead of me telling her, listen, this is not working. The house that you like doesn't exist in the price range you're looking for. So we're going to have to increase your we're gonna have to increase the amount you're qualified for, and then we'll just have to look in that price range instead. So instead of me telling you, I asked you enough questions where you came up with the answer that I wanted you to have. Now, if she told me, no, I'm not willing to do that, then you might have to make a decision and say, look, we're probably not right for each other, because you know the market. So don't let her tell you what your job is. Don't let him tell you, whoever your client is, don't let them tell you, how to do your job. If they don't listen to your advice, then you need to cut ties.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else?
Yes, it's Angela here.
Hey, Angela.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I do have a question. I'm a brand new agent, so I'm still in the
Congrats.
learning process.
Yeah.
What do you say, for example, I'm just creating a scenario when a client tells you that if they want to negotiate closing costs, is that such a question that they want to say that they want to negotiate closing costs?
Yes, there's two scenarios in this market in which you can negotiate closing costs. Number one, if the property has been on the market for an excessive amount of days, I would say at least 30 to 60 days in this market is rare. That would mean that the property is probably either needs a lot of work or is overpriced, or a combination of both. The other time that you can negotiate closing costs is if you've done the home inspection and the home needs repairs. Then you can ask for a credit on your for closing costs. But going into an offer situation right now, especially multiple offers, asking for a seller concession, you're wasting your time. Does anyone want to add to that? Because at least that's the way I see it down here in Florida. Does anyone have a different scenario in anywhere they live?
No, that's pretty much the nail on the head here in Georgia too.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, when I got started in this business, let me just tell you how things have changed. When I started in 2003, probably for the next 10 years, every offer was either no money down, 3% down when FHA was 3%, not 3.5%, then 3.5% down, maybe 5% down, and every offer had seller concessions, which is seller paid closing costs. It was so bad that there was a scare. I don't know if anyone was in the business when this happened. There was a scare stating that seller concessions were going to become illegal. Everybody lost it for like a 24-hour period. We're calling every attorney we knew. We're like, there's no way. There's no way. The market's going to go to zero. No one's ever going to buy a house again. And it's funny how things have changed to the point where now everybody's at least, I don't know how it is up there, but 20% down, cash, no closing costs. Like, I didn't know those people existed 20 years ago. Where did they come from? But so this is not the market. I'm sorry to bore you with that story, but this is not the market to be asking for seller concessions unless you're in one of those two scenarios.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. All right, we're already 15 minutes over time, guys, so I think we're going to call it. Brent, if I could ask you to take us out in prayer.
Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, God, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I thank you for the ability to use technology and to benefit from the opinions and the experiences of others. Thank you for the input in my life today. And I pray that you would encourage us. For those who are discouraged, you'd help us to be steadfast and unmovable and abounding in what's most important in our life. And I pray to God that you would take this day and make us mindful that you've put us here. You've given us life. You've given us health and strength. And now, God, may we put our choices in your direction first. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, everyone. If anyone here is new on the call and they have additional questions, you guys can always reach out to me on my email, lewis@culture.estate, or you guys can hit me up on meetup.com if that's how you guys got to the call. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day and awesome week, okay? Take care.
Guys, great day.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Have a great week, guys.